What is going on, Boss Crypto team? This is Alex again, bringing you guys another video. This time we're going to be looking at indicators. All right, so we've talked about, we've talked about a lot, haven't we? We've talked about trends, candles, trend lines, support resistance, Fibonacci's. We hit up chart patterns. I mean, you guys are just kicking some major ass. No joke. This stuff's not easy. All right. But we're still kind of at what I would call the basics. And it doesn't mean it's basic necessarily. It's just the basics of technical analysis. And even that can be difficult. So what we're looking at today are indicators. Now, indicators, you're going to hear a lot of different opinions on indicators, all right? So there's no right or wrong when it comes to indicators. You just want to find what works for you, okay? I like to keep it simple, and I like indicators that are not lagging. So that is why I picked the specific indicators that I use. You might not like those indicators, and you might pick different ones. But you don't want to overload your screen with indicators just to fit your bias. You know, if you're super bullish at some point and you find an indicator that looks like it's flipped and giving a bull signal, that's not what you want to be doing. You don't want to be hunting for the golden egg that fits your bias at the right time. And you never want to blame an indicator for your losses, right? You take the trade, not the indicator, right? So I'm going to be going over a few of the most popular indicators used by traders today, some of which I use, some of which I don't. But the point is not what I use right now, it's what you might use when figuring out your trading strategy, okay? So I'm going to cover a pretty wide range of indicators. I think you'll find at least one of these you're probably going to use on your charts. Most likely at least the first one, which is moving averages and exponential moving averages. Okay, so I will turn on the first one of those, the simple regular moving average right now. Boom. And that is the red line on your charts. Okay. So what this is the simplest form of a moving average, appropriately known as a simple moving average, or SMA, or sometimes just dubbed MA, moving average. Okay. And that's calculated by taking the average of a given set of values. For example, to calculate a basic 10-day moving average, you would add up the closing prices from the past 10 days and then divide the result by 10, right? And you can see up here, the current moving average I'm using is the 10-period moving average. And we're on the weekly time frame. So that means at this point right here, this 10-week moving average is at $263 per Bitcoin. That means for the closing price of this candle and the 9 before it, the average of those is 263. Or if we look up at this value, when I hover over it, we can see it's actually 264.6. Okay. Now, that is the simple moving average, okay? And then another type of moving average, known as the exponential moving average, is a type of moving average that gives more weight to recent prices in an attempt to make it more responsive to new information. All right, so I'll take this one off and we'll put on the green EMA. Okay, so you'll notice how the EMA has a higher value when the price is rising and falls faster than the SMA when the price is declining. All right, let's compare these two to understand what I'm talking about here. And you can see, we'll use pink. You can see that as prices are rising here, the green exponential moving average is moving higher and faster than this other moving average, the simple one. And that's because it takes into account recent price action and gives it more weight and more importance in the calculation than the simple moving average, okay? And you can see on this candle we were talking about earlier, that's 264. Well, the EMA is 268, right? And so we can see they're slightly different. And then here when it dumps, the smooth moving average or the simple moving average is 266, while the exponential moving average is 253, right? So some people like this responsiveness with EMAs. I certainly do. And their responsiveness is the main reason why many traders prefer to use them over the SMAs. But it's going to take testing for yourself to figure out what you like, what fits your strategy. The most common time periods used in moving averages are the 15, 20, 30, 50, 100, and 200 period moving average. And I have the 200 up here and the 200 EMA. And I guess we have now see, here's the thing. You don't see them yet. Why might that be? Because for the 200 week MA or EMA to exist, we need 200 weeks of trading data. And from the first day, we can see we have 148 weeks of trading history. So we are not going to get one of those until we get our 200th week. And that was right here. So on this day, and you can see it changes from NA to actual values. On this day, the average of the first 200 weeks, or I guess it's not first because we don't have the old 2009 to 2012 data on here, but the first 200 weeks available on our chart, the average of those closing prices is approximately $438. Right? You guys see it? And look, we didn't touch it for all this time, and now we're back at it. Crazy stuff. Right? We'll zoom back in here. Right. So one thing to note, as you can tell by these big price differences between the shorter time frame and longer time frame moving averages, that the shorter the time span used to create the average, the more sensitive it will be to price changes. Whereas the longer the time span, the less sensitive or more smoothed out the average will be. And there's no right time frame to use when setting these up. The best way is to figure out which one works for you, is just to experiment with a number of different periods until you find one that fits your strategy. All right? That makes sense. And if you guys saw my chart on the last video, you saw I had a whole slew of moving averages. And we'll get to all those and why I like to use them in the Boss Crypto Trading Strategy section, okay? Section. All right. Moving on here. And keep in mind, I like using indicators in conjunction with other indicators, all in conjunction with my own price action skills, right? Because price action is what I'm really trading, and indicators just help us do that better.